jump over to what could have been. Wow, I do that a lot. What have they done to us? I mix those titles up a lot. This is episode 5 of season 2. It is called What Have They Done to Us? This is with Gray, and this was the one that I performed for season 2. It's not like a big deal for me to like be in front of all these songs. I love doing what I do. Chris was nice enough to ask me to executive produce the soundtrack for this season, so I was also just looking after a lot of stuff, making sure all of our awesome artists felt like they were getting clear instructions, good feedback. I was either making songs with them or just helping guide them through the process. But when I saw this scene for the first time, I saw it on a plane, and it was early animatic, and I was just like immediately bawling because I'd spent so much time with Vi and Jinx, and I was so invested in their story. So the second I landed, I called Christian and I was like, hey man, love this one. Can I please perform this myself? This one means a lot to me. And he was immediately down. He's always been such a huge supporter of this stuff. Yeah, this scene, I was like, damn, I don't think I've seen many feel-good moments in either season. And like, this was a quick respite for like 2 of my favorite characters. I make this big plea to Christian, and then immediately I don't work on it because I did this in season 1 as well. You just like don't want to screw it up, and the stakes are really high, and it's a lot easier to just procrastinate. In that period, I had become friends with Gray. We were just sending music back and forth, and they sent me some of this new material they were working on, and I was so moved by it. They're like really special, where they kind of have the whole package musically. They're like, writing is so good, but their production, their sound design is kind of disturbingly good, where it makes you like depressed sometimes when you listen to them. And so I decided if I could not beat them, I would join them. So they sent me this one instrumental in particular that was everything this scene needed, I thought. I didn't even tell them, I just started writing a song over it. I already knew they were big ARCANE fans, so I just thought like, all right, this will be a nice surprise if I can get to the other side of this. So I wrote it, played it for Christian, he loved it. Then I was like, hey guys, like let's do this. Are you down to join us for this little ARCANE journey? And they were so excited.
What's up, we're Gray. So yeah, we were watching season 1 of ARCANE, and I remember in my head I was just like, we have to do whatever we possibly can to work on season 2. I remember I sent a text to our managers. I was like, I'm just putting this out in the universe. We're going to have a song on season 2. Kyle happened to send over some new music we were working on to Alex. He listened to one of the songs and he was like, this is exactly what we're looking for this exact scene. And then we just like freaked out.
We're very particular with production and writing, but when we had the session with Alex, that was one really unique thing, is he's just like that. He knows exactly what he wants.
He's like, I have some lyric ideas done, but they're just scratch, and then he like sang them. And I was like,
it's like already ready to go.
Fire.
I'll go through the project file. It's such an atmospheric moment that for a long time I didn't really know what to do with the Spotify version. A lot of times we'll redress these up and kind of package them together a little more conventionally for Spotify. And this was one of the ones I kind of only just saw it as like a verse to chorus push, and that was it. I'll talk about both versions a little bit, but I think the first one is probably the scene itself. So this is episode 5. Okay, this is my mixing project file for this one. Really crazy sequence of events. Usually what we'll do is I'll hop on a call with Christian and Fortiche really early in the morning because it's Paris time, and they're just talking to me about the scene, what it means, and I'm writing every single thing down. Usually I'll get a lot of good like lyrical nuggets from them just riffing. With this one, from the beginning, they were thinking of this as kind of like a 3-scene arc that concludes with the song. Shoot, I should probably play a little bit of that actually. Let me see if I got the episode. Damn, I don't even know where Let me just straight up pull up Netflix. Gotta watch Squid Game still. Okay, ARCANE. This is like phase 1 here. The guitar that Gray recorded is really like the identifiable thing that just feels so haunting. And so I started with that. I built a whole cue off this that kind of rises. And then we move into this psychotic action sequence. Sorry, we're listening in Danish. It's just something I do on my off time. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so then this is full-blown action sequence. I quote a lot of things in here. Just because we're here, I'll probably just mention this because I didn't see anybody pick it up. It's a small quote, but that was the moment from season 1, I think we're like episode 8 or maybe 9, when Vi gets the crap kicked out of her by Savika, and Vander's sort of like apparition shows up to be like, you can do this, like get back up. That's a melody that I use here again because it's just her staring in the face of Vander again. So this was like chapter 2 of the queue. And then before we get to the actual song, there's the wildest moment where we do this flashback to like Vander, Silko, and their mom, who we've never seen before as a character, as they're in the last drop. And you're hearing Our Love, the Curtis Harding song from season 1. And it's just a surreal sequence because you're just kind of like, you're caught up in what this is, and then you're all of a sudden just yanked out of it. And then we drop you back in, so. Yeah, it's so atmospheric. I always feel so sad because even though what's happening is nice right now, it's like a moment of just looking at what has become of all these characters, and the lyrics are just so heartbreaking. The first verse is Vi talking to Jinx, and then when we get to the pre-chorus of like, don't make me go through this again, that's Jinx then talking to Vi. Don't make me go through this again. And then like the line that just destroys you is Vi right here.
What are you waiting for? He's your dad too.
So yeah, like this was kind of the way I had mapped it out. It's kind of funny. Christian at first was like, don't make this another one of your classic songs where the vocal is so loud that it's like whispering in your ear. He wanted it to be in the back of the cave, very atmospheric, a little hard to hear and hard to understand. Funny thing was like, by the time we got to the end of the process, he had really fallen in love with the song at that point, and he was like, actually never mind, like boost the vocal, I want to hear it, I really like it. And I was convinced that it was way better being tucked back and far away. So we had reversed roles, and then we were sort of like, had a different opinion from the other side of things. I think we kind of compromised, but it's still a little atmospheric in the mix on the show. And on Spotify, I definitely like brought it back up. But I like that. I like how you're just kind of literally in the black for a while before Jinx starts walking through. And just the slow progression and Fortitia's cinematography and the way they plan these things is so powerful. I didn't really get an updated render until really late on. So I was kind of working to something that was, you know, less arresting than this. And when I saw this, it was just like stops you in your tracks because of the atmosphere and how small it is. And then, yeah, the shot of like them all together is crazy. And you're like sitting on this for a long time too, where you're like, man, people are really gonna be moved by this, and now I gotta wait 3 years for that to happen. But it was a really special sequence. So we did our classic thing, recorded the wonderful orchestra in Berlin. You know, this one kind of came together a little easier just because it was a contained story and it doesn't have a lot of acrobatics to picture. But even then, I remember in the writing, like, I was going so deep on this one. It's things even people aren't gonna hear. Let's see if I can isolate these vocals real fast. All right, this is how like off my rocker I was getting. So I knew I wanted a little bit of chanting in here, and I didn't know what they should say. So I went in and like I went back to episode 3 in season 1, that crazy sequence before Goodbye plays, and I just wrote down all the dialogue of those two characters.
Please come back, please, Violet. I need you, please.
You know, the most tragic scene ever, and then I like plucked things of those to make the chant. I was just kind of going as deep as I could into it. You kind of start to feel like you owe it to the characters to do these moments justice, where you're like, I've been waiting so long for this, and they have too in this fantasy world. So I just want to make sure that like we're really giving everything we can before we move on. You can't even hear it in the mix, it's so absurd. So like a lot of work goes into things that like are not even that obvious. I did get a chance on this deluxe version to pump those out. So let me pivot real fast. We made a separate version of the song. This was all happening in tandem, but the thing we didn't know the whole time was that Sasha Sloan would eventually join us, which is the coolest thing ever because I've been a huge fan of hers for a very long time. We're honored to have her in it, and she really was like, she connected with the song and just kicked out, you know, the vocals so quickly. So we sped it up, man, maybe like 20 BPM or something.
Wake up in a cold sweat. Little girl.
I used a lot of the same elements from the cinematic version until you get to this chorus.
What has they done to us? What have they done to us? What have they done to
Yeah, so like that guitar part was what Gray was playing the whole time we were working on the song, and we just loved it, but we couldn't really get it into the scene just because it was a little too peppy. I just wanted to get something like bigger and lusher and rounder, but we love what this was and what it felt like. So when we were making this version in tandem, I was like, I don't know when this will come out or who will allow us to release it, but we have to do it. And so then we put Sasha on it, got to turn my little chants up. I think it just like kind of breathes new life into it. In addition to more lyrics, like I didn't have a verse 2 in the original version, so I took a little solo here.
Save this memory for when we kiss it goodbye. Little girl, I won't see you again. Bury your scars as deep as you can. Let the tears on my face wash the blood from your hands, little one.
Yeah, and just so depressing, as always. And I should also mention, we had another guy help us named Corey Enemy. He's a good friend of Gray's, and he like did the string parts for us, and he made like sick strings, like stuff that I couldn't do. He just sent me like a single stem that has this. Yeah, it's really sick. So this will come out, I think, in a couple weeks. I hope people like this version. I'm really into it, and it was really fun to kind of reinvent the song. But anyway, yeah, like Gray's the best, and working with Sasha and then was a blast. So hope everyone digs, and this is What Have They Done to Us? Not What Could Have Been. What have they done to us? Thanks.